In this short video clip, we're going to be taking a look at the basic structure of a typical eukaryotic plant cell. Now, the same basic parts that we found in the animal cell are also found in the plant cell, but the most notable difference will be that the plant cell is surrounded by a cell wall. And so we can see this cell wall here. Now the cell wall is composed or built of cellulose. And the cell wall is outside of the plasma membrane. So the plasma membrane is still there, selectively regulating passage of materials in and out, but the cell wall is an external rigid structure that's going to help provide some shape for the plant cell. And it's also going to play a role as plant cells form plant tissue when they're connected to one another. The nucleus in the plant cell looks very similar to the nucleus in an animal cell. We see the nuclear envelope with the nuclear pores, the darkened nucleolus in here for the sites of ribosome production, the genetic material in the form of either chromatin when the cell is functioning normally or chromosomes when the cell is getting ready to divide can be found in the nucleus. The endoplasmic reticulum with the ribosomes, the rough endoplasmic reticulum, the smooth endoplasmic reticulum without ribosomes, the Golgi complex. These organelles all function as part of this endomembrane system and are very, very similar to that we find in animal cells. The powerhouse of the cell, the mitochondria, with its cristae and matrix, also found in plant cells. And recall that just because a plant cell can produce its own food, as we'll see in just a moment, it still requires those molecules of ATP that are built here during the mitochondria during the process of aerobic cellular respiration. Now, speaking of energy, plant cells are also known to have these organelles called chloroplasts. And if you look at the chloroplast on the inside, we again see some membranes. These membranous discs are called thylakoids, and the thylakoids make up the grana of the chloroplast. Now the grana is surrounded by the stroma, which is this enzyme-filled material. Both the stroma and the grana are important in the chemical reactions associated with photosynthesis, as we'll see in Unit 3. So this chloroplast represents the site of photosynthesis. There is in many plant cells a very large vacuole. Remember, vacuoles are things that are used for storage. Well, this vacuole is called the central vacuole. Its membrane that surrounds it is called the tonoplast. And the central vacuole is filled with water and electrolytes. And as the central vacuole is filled with water, it creates a pressure called turgor pressure, and it begins to push the cytoplasm out against the rigid cell walls. And it's this central vacuole and the rigid cell wall that helps to give the plant cell its characteristic shape and its support. We don't see as great of a cytoskeleton inside of the cytoplasm as we do in animal cells. Plant cells' tissues are formed and are structured based upon the thickness of the cell wall and the water that's found forming the turgor pressure in these central vacuoles. Just to kind of point out a few other things, here's a vesicle coming from the Golgi complex. Again, proteins made in the endoplasmic reticulum will be processed in the Golgi complex and then secreted through these vesicles. Here we see a round storage vacuole called a peroxisome filled with the catalase enzyme to help it break down hydrogen peroxide. Now, the last couple of things that I want to point out have to do with how the plant cells are joined together. So if we look, there is an area between the plant cell's cell wall of one cell and an adjacent cell. This is called the middle lamella, and the middle lamella is the cement that helps to hold these two cells together. In order for materials or information to pass from cell to cell, there are these junctions called plasmodesmata, which actually allow the cytoplasm of one plant cell to be connected with the other. So please take some time to review the basic parts of your plant and animal cells.